Welcome back to the Elias Macko Show and today's edition of In Transit. If you have driven through the Turcotte interchange, you've probably noticed the graffiti that has plagued the concrete walls for a long time. Now, the work to remove that graffiti is happening. Crews have started to remove it from walls and other structures. Transport Quebec says that some areas are coated with a material that actually makes it easier for the tags and other graffiti to come off. But the ministry has faced criticism over not knowing how much it actually costs to remove the graffiti and for not removing the graffiti as promptly as many would like. Let's talk a little bit more about this. Louis-André Bertrand is a spokesperson for the Ministère des Transports et de la Mobilité durable, sustainable mobility as well with transportation. Louis-André, welcome to the program.
Good morning to you and your audience.
So, Louis-André, here's my issue as someone that lives in the city and then drives through the Turcotte interchange. I just find the work to remove the graffiti isn't done anywhere near as quickly as I'd like. And, there have been times where the whole structure is covered with tags. And I know the work has begun. It looks better right now, right? You've removed quite a bit. But, boy, I just feel like not enough is done. Well, what's the strategy? How are those decisions made about removing the graffiti?
Well, from the get-go, we need to realize that graffiti is an urban phenomenon that's hard to curb. Every time it's cleaned up, it reappears within days. And so that's also part of the problem is that, so our crews are starting the work to remove the graffitis. They usually start between in around April this year because of all the rain. We started in May, and that goes through all the way through October. And what we're aiming to do is to go to every structure twice. So once in the spring, once in the fall, to remove the graffiti. But then sometimes we'll have all the graffitis removed on the structure, and then within a few days, they pop up, sometimes different ones, sometimes similar ones, so people think we didn't come at all. But in fact, we came and we did it once, and then we do it another time at the end of the season.
So doesn't that prove that you're just not, and when I say you, I mean the Ministère des Transports, that we're just not doing enough? Like, so if people know, okay, you're going to pass twice during the year, if these taggers know that you're going to pass twice, like if I'm a tagger, what I would do is be like, okay, I'll wait till they clean. And then if I put it up, I know it's going to be up for 6 months plus. Like, isn't the current strategy inviting taggers to use what should be our beautiful structures, our beautiful infrastructure as a canvas?
That's the tricky part, because cleaning more frequently would not solve the situation. It would be a full-time job to do it every single day. We'd have to have multiple crews doing that. And there's also the fact that just washing it more cannot carry it out more often as the pressure jet used to remove the graffiti. It would kill the plants, because that's one of the solutions that we have. You look at the wall under the hospital, the CUSIM. Yep. I don't know what's in it.
The MUHC, the Super Hospital. Yeah.
MUHC, yes, thank you. There are some plants that I've put in the ground, and then for them to grow, once they're going to cover the wall, it's going to be less interesting to put some graffitis up. But if we keep going with the high-pressure jets, we're killing all the plants we're putting there. So with the time, that's one of the solutions we're putting. And it remains that it's an illegal act. I mean, putting up graffitis is illegal. And every time we notice there's a new graffiti, we put in a report with the Montreal Police Department or the Société du Québec, depending on where it is. And then even if we caught them on the act, we're going to call the police and ask for an intervention. But there's so much we can do to refrain from all those graffitis popping up.
So, Louis-André, listen, you're bringing up a great point here. With Louis-André Bertrand, spokesperson for the Ministère des Transports. So it's an illegal act. And so I get your point. Like we can't use the pressure jets all the time. This just don't. So what about prevention? And do you want to point any fingers to the SQ or the SPVM? Because here's what I think. If people were doing illegal acts, and you rightly point out these are illegal acts, I would do? I'd set up cameras. I'd set up a sting. I'd put police officers. I would try and arrest people doing the illegal acts. Why doesn't that happen?
That's a question we would have to ask the police services. But I think because as you said, if you were a tagger, that tells me we're not taggers ourselves, but we know that they're being done very fast. They go quick with their paint cans, and it's fast and it's quick, and it's hard to catch them in the act. And that's one of the issues. Even if they're on camera, then even if you catch them on camera, it doesn't mean you know where they're from. You can't identify them necessarily. So there's the whole issue of preventing it is pretty hard. So so that's why there was the solution we found was, let's go twice. We're going to go twice a year on every structure, carry out that work to remove the graffitis. And there's a difference between the Turcotte interchange and the other structures of the Ministère. As you said, there's a special coating that's put on the new Turcotte interchange so that we can pressure wash the paint off of it. It doesn't stick to the structure, so it sticks on the product we put on top of it. So we can rinse it with a high pressure jet. Other structures, we go and we use latex paint that we go and cover over. And in terms of times, yes, we go twice a year, but in case of heinous graffiti, that'll be covered within a week.
So Louis-André, listen, I just, to me, it's frustrating, right? Like to me, it's so frustrating that we can't have, what are actually really nice infrastructure projects clean, And I would wonder, like, do you get frustrated? I mean, is this frustrating for you that, for it seems like we've resigned ourselves to saying, well, this is the way it is. We have to live with it.
That's tricky to say. If it's as I said, it's a recurring problem. It's something that it's hard to curb. It's an urban phenomenon that's worldwide in North America, but around the world as well. So that it goes beyond the scope of the Ministère. I think it's they're there. We're putting those measures in place of doing those cleanup twice a year. But I hear your frustration. I hear the frustration of people saying, "Oh my God, it seems like it's a never-ending." I was going to say not a war, but it's a never-ending.
No, it's a war. It's a war. You're right. I mean, it is a war. I mean, you're right. So because that's how I would describe it, and I just don't understand. Like, this seems like a winnable war, And I have a listener sending me a text message here, just saying, "Listen, there's other places where somebody brings up the point of the New York subways where they made a point. They're going to clean it every day. And they're going to clean so that taggers would realize that their work would never be seen." And I'm just wondering, why don't we try that strategy?
It's a question of being cost effective. Having crews that are doing this full time already, we would need to add more crews. And these crews also work on doing the groundskeeping. They're going to pick up trash around sites. They make sure they maintain the sites as well. And so every time they're sent out to remove graffiti, they're not doing that. And so it's a question of using crews to do that all the time. I think people don't realize how much work and is needed just to remove one graffiti.
Are there cameras, Louis-André? Are there cameras? Like, do you have the video of these taggers doing the tagging? Like, are there cameras all over the place to at least get video of them?
In a lot of locations, we have cameras all over the réseau, all over the roads in Montreal that we're responsible for. And when a criminal activity is caught on camera, it's always available. We make a report to the police, and they can investigate and they can ask to see the cameras. So, yeah. and putting out, as I said, it's a crime that happens very fast. It happens at night, and it's hard to catch people doing it in the act. And so that's one part of the problem of graffiti. It's an illegal activity, but it happens really fast. It's hard to catch them in the act. And there are so many structures in them. Is that when you suggested doing an operation, a sting operation? Well, how do we know which structure they're going to be at? We can't have police officers all over. Don't we know? Because you said, like, you clean it, the next day it pops back up. Like, I would just put it there. Like,
you said it, right? Like, that's where that's what I would do, So, all right, we'll talk about
if there's ever a task force with the police department, I'll highly recommend your
approach.
You seem to have good approaches.
Louis-André, thank you very much for coming on the show to discuss the war. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good one.
That's Louis-André Bertrand, spokesperson for the Ministère des Transports.